Hey everyone, so this is going to be a quick upper body, I guess primer or cool down sequence. So what I'm going to start off with is just, my traps are a little tight, so I'm going to get a ball. I have an Accu Mobility ball here, but you can use any kind of ball. Accu Mobility ball is nice too because it doesn't roll away. So I'm going to get this on the ground here and try to hit 3 spots on my traps. A little high, middle, a little low. Pretty much go through the same circles. So I'm going to get a little high first. And now if this does not feel intense enough for you, all you have to do is lift the hips and you'll be able to pinpoint a little bit more pressure into that spot. I don't really do a ton in terms of movement. I just kind of, or anything really super specific either. I just kind of want to move around and try to make sure that I'm letting that ball work its way through the tissue. And depending on how intense each spot feels, I might hang out longer or for more or less time. Just again, depends on how intense each spot feels. So this middle spot actually feels a little worse in comparison. So if you find a spot like I am in right now, you can actually try to move your head with your opposite arm, and that could help loosen up that tissue a little bit. You might even get a little bit of popping, I guess you can say. So popping through the shoulder and neck, just as that tension relieves itself. And then this is the final lower end for me. So usually with that lower spot, I want to try to bring my elbows together if I can. Breathe in and then breathe out, relaxing into it. And then I want to take quite a few deep breaths. And again, try to pull and stretch that tissue a little bit. And then we'll move again in circles or even throwing motions. This is especially helpful for any of you that are like throwing athletes. There we go. So now I'm going to change to the other side. Alright, now that I'm done with those trick points there, so the reason why I want to get those out of the way, by the way, is just so that my traps aren't holding my scaps in too rigid of a position. Because when I want to do upper body movements, specifically pressing and rowing, whether it's horizontal or vertical, I want to allow for my scaps to move in that ideal range of motion. And just to cover on scap movement, so this is retraction when I pull straight back. This is depression when I push my scaps down. This is protraction when I'm pushing my scaps or my shoulders forward. And then this is elevation when I shrug, right? Most people carry their tension in their traps, and there's a lot of this rigid, elevated position just because either we're typing all day or we're just trying to squeeze onto all negative thoughts, and we get really rigid up here. So this will be really helpful for most of you who are maybe typing all day or just very stressed in general. Now from there, this is one that I just came across from a physiotherapist in Canada. I saw on Instagram. I really liked it since then. But it's basically a band dislocation to fly. And I thought this one felt pretty nice, so I wanted to include it here in this sequence. From here, I'll go into a banded T rotation. So for this one, I'm going to anchor I'm going to get the anchor point to the opposite side of the rotating or the opening side. And I want to set this up across my shoulder like so. And I'm going to get set up so that my shoulder is directly next to the anchor point. And the reason why I have the band here doesn't have to be anything super intense. This light band works out really well for me. but it gives me a general direction of a general sense of direction of where I want to move. For the T rotations, like I've said before, I want to think of pushing into the ground as I open up. So I'm going to take a deep breath. I like to make an X on this next one. So I twist the band so that there's an X there. And I bring that X just below my scaps. And that way I can feel that pressure of the band. And again, the band doesn't necessarily have to be crazy intense. It's just enough so that I can feel the pressure and I can push against it. So I'm going to take a deep breath and thinking of a cat-cow, but not quite moving the same, because in a cat-cow, I'm moving in that low back as well. I want to breathe, squeeze my abs, and move really only through the shoulders. And just going back to the general planes of movement of the scaps, I'm thinking of retraction to depression, and then protraction and elevation, right? So I'm thinking of retraction, depression, protraction, elevation. And that's going to help me warm up my serratus and just give me a good sense of awareness in terms of what my shoulders or my scaps are doing. And if you want to take this up a notch, just push into your toes and try this here. Now, you don't need a lot there. Probably about 4 to 8 reps will do fine. Move slow and you should be solid. From there, I really like doing these child pose, elevated child pose, shoulder openers basically. So I grab onto a PVC pipe or some sort of stick about shoulder width, palms facing my face. I'm going to get my elbows on the box or a bench. I'm going to breathe. And as I breathe out, I'm pulling my hands to my neck. Just 2 more times, so I go for 3 to 5 total. And that is essentially my upper body cool down or primer session. And that allows for me to basically be aware of what my shoulder is doing, just prime up some of those smaller muscle groups that generally might not feel ready right off the bat for pressing, especially if you're pressing heavier or even pulling movements. So I hope you enjoyed this. See you next time.